Falling through the eye of time, puny humans shout out to God, tossing prayers like smoke to the forces of the universe. The costumes change, the stories circle, history begs the sky, till one eye opens in darkness. It has its own plans, but we wake it, shake it, make deals with it, until power is ours, jumps through hoops on command. Why do they do it, these powers, and what do they want in return? Life inside a culture is life. It's just the way things are. It breathes you inside it like the air. All you believe is normalized. Humans crawl tenderly through the present on thin ice. The conqueror tells us that ancient Aztecs believed in human sacrifice, calls them heathens, appeasing with beating hearts, calls them barbarians, scaring even conquistadors, imagines lines of divine scapegoats, says they fell like flakes, like flashes of fishes, turning direction as one up to heaven, levering the whole culture higher to God's good side. They tell us the Aztecs sacrificed to terrifying gods. They called one enemy of both sides, called another we who are his slaves. If it's true that they called them with blood and fear, I say their relationship to that was clear. They didn't have mass media or science. They couldn't Google how it worked. You just give them living human hearts. It makes the sun come up. The amazing invisibility of power, the cost of being here. We walk on thinning ice, sprinkling fairy dust. We're all slaves to God. In our time, we don't understand how electricity works. Oh, technicians of the sacred, XL, Exxon, GE, you pray way out there over vast distances with fiber optic coal mines and industrial waste continents and bandwidths to hell. One eye opens in darkness, fracking, Fukushima, all the pipelines, all the wires. We flip the switch and wall-to-wall power grids begin. Tar sands tremble, source rock clenches. We worship from a distance on screens. If we flipped the switch and blood started to pour down the temple walls, if we turned on this light and life crumpled to the ground, a mountaintop exploded, somebody strangles in a crib, a woman loses all her hair, flip the switch and nukes contaminate 10,000 generations, well, that's progress. We wouldn't call it sacrifice. That word's too hot, like a beating heart. Give us keyboards, outlets, avoid contact with the world. We learn to call the real world our jobs. We bend science backward to avoid sacrificing anything. We don't call it murder, just the way things are. They numb us with data, swaddle us in darkness. We beg the gods for blindfolds just to keep the lights on. Our minds colonized as banana plantations. We feed the world to our machines. It's a story. It's a prayer for power. It's progress, what they say you can't stop. It's progress, which could be called escalation. It's not a primitive myth. It's science. It's God. You press this button, the power comes on. Life begins with light every day. Exxon, XL, GE, enemy of both sides, we who are his slaves. Flip this switch, blood starts flowing rivers. No one here is running for their lives or screaming in the streets. Sludge fills rivers, the air and oceans toxify, radiation is a verb. Science doesn't say we're all slaves of God who created the world for humans to dominate. Science just acts like it. The Aztec people knew it took tremendous sacrifice to keep gods happy. And what do we know? We flip that switch, something happens. We don't know what it wants, or why, or how. We just join the great apocalypse, a traffic jam on thinning ice. What are you going to do? Organize a resistance movement against gods? Do you believe everything the conquerors say, or are you ready to blockade with our bodies the blood-soaked altars of those temples?